I want to look when I'm 80 years old at this moment today.
Chris, bringing up a really key point that I wanted to share is that there's something, one of the reasons this is so deeply rooted is because of Seattle's geographic isolation.
Yeah.
They're the monopoly team for Southern Canada, all the way to North Dakota, all the way down to Northern California until you hit the 49ers.
Wow.
And so that is the biggest geographic market in the U.S. And so you're pulling people. I talked to people when I was in New York that were from Alaska at the game. They're coming down now. I was on Vancouver radio. Hundreds of Canadians are joining this event right now. And I know I've got friends in Portland who are coming up for this.
If you're just joining us, 4th and Denny, the start of the parade, the staging area there, outside the EMP, the football players from our beloved Seattle Seahawks getting on troop transports and ride the Ducks. They're going to ride the Ducks down 4th Avenue. You can see they're still staging. We have Chris for just a few more minutes. And Chris, I have to ask you, after so many Super Bowls, teams get parted out like an old car. They just get, assistant coaches leave and key players leave. What is going to be the key to keep this team together?
I think as long as you have Pete Carroll there, run the ship, and John Schneider, I think you have the two main pieces, and obviously you have an owner in Paul Allen. Yeah, and Peter McLaughlin, who just does a fabulous job over there. I think you're going to look at two key pieces, and that being Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman. I know during this offseason, they're going to make sure they seal up Earl Thomas's deal and get him. I think those are three kind of key pieces on this team. It's going to be interesting because Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman are going to want big money, and it's going to be tough to keep them. But Paul Allen, pretty good little owner.
Hopefully they feel vested in this community.
Well, and I know they do. And Michael Bennett, I know Art may talk about him. He may be a player that's going to be one of the hot commodities out there in this offseason. Michael Bennett, he's somebody that was picked up by John Schneider. He was huge in this impact of the team. Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill and Percy Harvin, these were three key acquisitions during the offseason. I know Michael Bennett loves it here.
I just have to say, I don't know if you saw yesterday, one of our photographers put a post on Twitter of the 95, the Sonics. Sonic Boom,
79.
79 Sonic Boom headline and the Legion of Boom headline from
Sports Illustrated. Yeah, side by side.
Big on Boom here.
I think you guys have maybe talked about it, but according to my sources, the Legion of Boom won't be on a duck today. They wanted a dump truck. So that's what I've been told. I don't know if we'll pan out, but I've been told that the Legion of Boom said, we're not going in a duck. We want to be in a dump truck. So it'll be interesting to see if that pans out, if they actually are in a dump truck. And they stay together, so I'm sure that Legion of Boom will all be together in that dump truck.
I don't think anybody's going to argue with them.
No.
Speaking of Boom, at 12:12, spread the word. Spread it on social media. 12:12 is going to be the moment, the moment of noise. Governor Inslee tweeted this out. Moment of loudness, I'll get it straight. Moment of loudness at 12:12, so about 20 minutes from now, everybody in Western Washington is going to make noise.
I have to ask Chris two things before you go. You have to tell us about the special that you have coming up tonight. But before that, what is it that's special about Coach Carroll's coaching philosophy that has made this team so cohesive, so tight? They're all for one for all. Yeah. What is it philosophy that around the NFL here to figure out what he's doing?
Well, and Joyce, I think you said it best, and not only for coaches around the NFL, I'm a youth sports coach. I coach kids. And I think if you're listening, you're watching out there, you should watch what Pete Carroll does, because I think we live in this world where you see coaches yell at kids, and, that's the way, you got to yell, you got to be angry at them, you got to be mean.
Almost bullying.
Yes, and that is not Pete Carroll. If you watch him, he's all about positive reinforcement. He's like a kid out there. I mean, he's out there running these drills. He brings energy. You go to that first training camp day when that berm was filled over there at the VMAC Arena. He's running over to the crowd, firing them all up. And I love that positive energy. As a youth sports coach, I'm modeling myself after him because it's just the way he coaches. There's no negativity out there with his players, and I love that. And it's great to see that it's working, because I think the youth coaches of America need to see this. That hey, you don't have to be that angry, yelling coach. You can do things the right way. You can be positive. And one thing he told me after we sat down with a one-on-one interview, he said, Chris, the biggest thing you can do as a coach is know that every player on your team, whether it's youth sports or whether it's the Seattle Seahawks, has a strength. And it's your job as a coach to figure out what that strength is. You have to know your players, you have to learn your players, and you have to find out what that strength is. It's maybe a little easier for me at the professional level because these guys have a lot of strengths. But he said, every coach out there, you got to find that strength. And when you do, things are going to go well. And he has found the strength in each and every one of these guys. And the next man up, a guy gets injured, he puts another guy in, and they have a
And
strength.
he seems to care about them, the whole person,
Yeah.
each of them too.
Well, Chris, we're going to be watching tonight, 10 o'clock tonight on King 5.
Gene Anderson, Paul Sylvia, they're busy right now. They're working away. I'm going to head down to CenturyLink myself and be down there for Pete Carroll and the players. It's going to be a fun day.
Chris Egan, great to talk
Thanks
with
for
you.
coming in.
We'll be watching later tonight, Chris. Thank you.
All right, Meg Coyle down there in the crowd. You were talking about them trying to part the streets earlier. Any luck with that, Meg?
You know, we were able to get down here early enough. We just were dropped off, actually. That's the way to go if you can get dropped off, because parking does not exist down here. And if you look around here, you can see why. It is standing room only here at 4th and Yesler. A great view for these folks up here on the overpass, and a great view down below, too, as you can see. People 20 deep trying to get a shot of the action, close enough to see the parade when it does make its way through here. This is really kind of the last big stop before it hits CenturyLink Field, so this is a very popular overpass right now. And people started lining up here early this morning. Some folks, I understand, were out here last night just to make sure they got a spot. But you can see, every once in a while, you get some impromptu cheerleading from the crowd down below. You get a little cowbell. You get a lot of green. You get a lot of blue. You get a lot of happy